is Nelson Tan, and I am a team lead and project manager at Open Kernel Labs. What we do is we do software for embedded systems such as mobile phones. One of the things we do is writing software for Android, so very low-level system software. So yeah, that's what we do. And our company is about 50 people, and most of us are engineers. We are located in Sydney and also in Chicago in USA.
Yep. I want to ask you some questions today.
Yep.
First of all, what kind of IT skills you need to be qualified in your career?
It depends on what kind of job.
Yep.
So in my job, it's very specific. You need to know a very particular programming language, and you may have heard of it. It's called C. So that language has been around for a long time. So in my company, when you go to an interview, the most important component is they test your C skills. For example, if you're a salesperson in IT, all you need to do is to explain complicated ideas very simply. That's all you need to do.
Do you have any suggestions for graduate students who want to find careers in this area, such as any IT or computer skills?
IT, like I said, is such a big industry. Try to find what your interests are. There are so many options. So when you are studying in university, try to understand what kind of path you want to take first. Because if you don't have that idea, you graduate and you don't even know what job to look for. And once you know what your interests are, try to focus on the skills you need for that particular job. So for example, if it's something non-technical, like business analyst, business management or business analyst, or things like that, right? It's very hard to be a manager immediately after you graduate. It's not very sensible because you need the work experience to understand the work that you will be managing in the future.
Where graduates may find employment in this career?
So in the IT industry, like I said, it's so wide that there are many kinds of jobs that you could find. For example, let's start with the technical ones first. You can be a programmer. You can program in the language that you're most familiar with. There are lots of web development at the moment. There is Java and .NET, as we mentioned. And fairly new area actually is writing iPhone and Android applications. Another one that is actually interesting is doing e-commerce, right? So setting up your own small company with no store, but you only have the online store, and you sell whatever you want.
What kind of competitive advantage does this career have?
The competitive advantage is that because you're doing so many things, you're learning a lot of skills at the same time, and a lot of these skills are reusable in other companies because any company that sells software to projects, they need a project manager. They always need a team lead. They always need someone to talk to the customers. So all these things that I'm doing will be reusable in the future, even though my language, the programming language I do is C, and in my next job I might not be doing C, but all the general skills that I have will be applicable.
Also, and what challenges you are facing in this area?
Like I said, we do embedded systems, so things like phones and stuff like that. But a phone is, when a problem happens in a phone, it's very hard to analyze because it is what we call an embedded system. It has it doesn't have a lot of facilities for you to debug a problem. Whereas in a web server or a database, you can see exactly what's going on. In an embedded system, you don't always see that. When an error happens, the whole thing just crashes. You don't actually know what is happening. So that's one technical challenge.
What kind of ethical issues you have met in this area? For example, other company copy your code or something?
Right, yeah, so that's a good question. We work with a lot of customers and we work with a lot of software partners. So for customers, for both of these cases, we actually provide a lot of source code. to the other companies, but we always withhold a very key piece of source code called the kernel. We do not provide that source code to other companies because that is like the heart of our software, and we don't provide that to people so that people can't copy that part of our system, so they can't just infringe on our IP. Sometimes our job requires that we provide the source code to other companies. So how do we get around or prevent other people from copying? Well, the way we do it is that we provide them the source code, but we don't give them a way to compile or build the source code, so they can inspect, they can understand what's going on, but they can't change it, or even if they change it, they can't compile it into a form that is usable. So that is one way we get around this ethical issue. The other thing is that we actually so as you know, there is a type of software called open source software.
Like Linux is open source.
Linux is open source.
Operating system.
Yes, yes, and so is Android. In a lot of cases, when you use open source software, when you make changes to it, the license requires you to publish your changes. So we are very careful when we write our source code to not take open source IP into the pieces of software that we do not intend to publish. So we think about our system as different pieces. Some pieces we don't want to publish, and we never have open source input in there. But there are other pieces that we will publish, and of those pieces we will have open source software. And we need to be very careful about the license and the IP isolation. So these are kind of ethical challenges that we face.
Yeah. What kind of opportunity does your company have for career advancement of your position?
There are many. So I have opportunities to travel all around the world to help salespeople meet their customers, because I'm doing technical support and also project management. So I report to the customers face to face. So I can go to places like Europe or US or China or Japan, Korea, many places in the world. That's a very good opportunity. I can develop myself into a pure project manager, which is good. I can develop myself into maybe even a higher level manager, so I can run different engineering teams and manage multiple projects at the same time. So these are all the opportunities I have.